Hello, my name is Ben, and I'm from the Dub Beta universe, and today I'm going to show you how to make a Christmas card using the software Clip Studio Paint. First thing we want to do is open a new file. We're going to make that canvas 600 by 450 pixels, and we'll keep that a resolution at 300 in case you want to print it. And there's our file. Now we're going to import some assets that we have made already, and we'll just resize those up there. This is our character from the Double Beta universe. So now we just want to put some fire into a fireplace, and we're also going to put some Christmas decorations in the scene. And the scene character is named Lloyd Baxter. He's known for having a floating head, so we'll bring that into the scene as well. We have an assortment of heads here to choose from, but we are going to stay with the Christmas theme. We're going to resize the head. So since he's got a floating head, we're going to put it up here. And I'm bringing in the fire. I'm going to open the file and import an image. And I have this fire here in this fireplace that I'm just going to extract out and put into the current fireplace we're using. I rasterize the image, and I'm going to select it using the selector tool. Invert the select area and delete. And put the fire in the place there. Looks good. Next thing we're going to do is go into the Clip Paint store. We're going to see what Christmas brushes are available. Okay, we're going to grab this pack today with the various Christmas stuff. It looks really great, so we'll grab these brushes here. And we're going to download them, and it'll take a minute to come down. And here they are, and they should appear in the Downloads folder. There they are. Don't they look great? We're going to add some now. I'm going to put this brush in, drag and drop into one of my subtools. I've never used this tool, so I'm just going to adjust some of the settings. Oh, look at that. Take a look at it, and it looks gorgeous. It looks gorgeous to me. So I'm going to put some of these up there. Those can kind of be like candle holders. Yeah, we're going to put some candles in there. And let's take a look at the other brushes here. Yeah, and if you pull it in one direction, it puts the base at the bottom, and if you push it in the other direction, oh yeah, just like I showed you there, and then it puts the base to the top. Pretty handy. I'm going to just try one more of the wreath brushes just to see the difference. Looks a bit different. I'm going to put it up there instead of that. Fire mantle decoration. There we go. Now this is the brush I'm curious to see. The bulbs. Oh yeah. Those are great. And we're going to put them on a different layer. Their own layer, because they look amazing. And we'll show you why we do that. So if you continue to hold down and pull the brush across, it changes all the colors. But I lift my finger and give some space variation as well. I think I'm just going to put one more wreath here around the center. Just fill it out a little bit. Perfect. Throw a couple bulbs on the wreath as well. Now all the lights are on their own layer, and we're going to duplicate that layer. And that top layer is going to be a glow layer. And we're going to add a blur. Adjust the blur to what we want. And it dims a little bit, but that's okay because we're going to also add a brightness effect. And we'll even adjust the contrast a bit to make it glowy. And yeah, now it looks illuminated to me, so that looks better. I'm going to hold on the brushes for a little bit. And we've got our nice wreaths, and we've got our glowing lights. So we're going to start a new layer to add the Christmas tree. And it's a rough layer, so I'm just going to roughly draw out the position shape. That looks good. So something like that. And then I'm going to do a new layer. And just speed through that and give the tree a more realistic shape and some details. I've also dropped the background down, the opacity to the background, and that lets me see what lines I'm creating clearly. And I'm not going to spend a lot of time on the base. I'll color everything and do everything, but I think we're going to hide it with some presents. Okay, so we've completed the line work there for the entire tree. We've made the line layer the reference layer for selections. And then we've made a new layer, and that's going to be our flats layer, and we select the outside, invert the selection, and then fill with the paint bucket a base green for our first color layer, the flat layer. And there we go, just adjust the bottom with the lasso fill tool, another great tool for coloring. And now we want to build up some textures with the color, and I'm going to grab an airbrush or a decorative brush. In this case, I'm going to use this decorative brush. I'm not super familiar with it. It might be the first time I've used it, but it looks really great. I also puts highlights on for you, which I think looks really cool. But we're going to build our own layers up anyway. But we're gonna use this brush to do that anyway. So it adds lots of nice textures. And now I'm going to add this color. It looks quite bright, but basically I'm going to drop that down when I switch it to a multiply layer. And then go back in again, starting to build the texture layers and give depth. And then put the shadow on the bottom, and I put a little bit there on the wrong layer, and we'll see the impact of that in a second. But then, I can bring the shadow back in with the transparency effect for the brush. So I've identified what layer, erased the error there, and then you can get that full shadow. So there you go. And we're going to do the same effect before to give the light some luminosity. So that's a duplicate layer. Then we blur the layer that's a glow layer, and then affect the brightness. So we're going to turn the brightness up and contrast. It's important to not lose the structure of the bulb, so that's why we use two layers. Okay, let's get back into the story here, and we're going to grab this present. I knew it was in here because I've downloaded it before. And this is a great 3D asset for free. Let's download that and bring it into our Christmas card here. And there we go, look at that, looks pretty cool, all stacked up. We can move it around. First though, we have to do the line art for these presents. The presents are just our model. So I'll go back in with a new multiplier layer and go through over top on that new layer and make our line work for the presents. getting pretty close to finishing the line work. I was using just the normal G pen and holding shift to make straight lines. Looks good, and we sort of have our outline there complete. We're going to get rid of that layer, and I also went ahead there and labeled up my layers. Good to do when you start to get a bunch of them. And there we go, we removed the guide 3D asset. We select the outside of the layer and then invert it, and then fill with the bucket a base layer of red. Here we're picking this nice red color, and then we're going to go onto that new layer that we put the red on. It's our flats layer again with the lasso tool. Great. All the base flats are on the presents. We're going to then change our select layer to the present flats. Then when we select a color of that present, we can go back into the store menu here, the asset menu, and from Clip Studio Paint, and drop in some patterns. These infinite patterns are amazing, and we just drop them in and repeat. So we'll do that a couple times and get all the patterns we're looking for. And sometimes they come in quite big when we're working on an image quite small, so we have to scroll out to make our adjustments. But yeah, and then what we do is we also can change the blending of each layer to match the style with the color beneath it. So in this case, I'll choose multiplies, overlays, and pin light. So then we're just going to go back, select the outside of the line layer, and do highlights, and we've almost forgot the candle, so quickly going to jump in there and do our candles. And we just do the same thing we've been doing before. We make new line layers, flat layers, and then we go on top with the secondary layers, and then we use the transparency function to remove some of the color, finally going in with a glow layer and adding the glow of the light to the background and surrounding objects. I forgot we had this cool candy cane brush, so I wanted to throw some of those on the tree. We're going to move on now to some text. Not sure what I want to do with the text, to be honest, so and a few things we might want to do with the text is go to our options of what styles. I'm partial to this one. I'm going to stretch it a little bit and put it where I want it on the page. And then I'm going to go through various processes here to sort of merge my way into the textures and that I'd like. So first I'm going to jump back into the Clip Studio Asset Store, and I'd like a snowflake brush. Download that brush It appears again in our assets folder here under downloads. Again, I just apply it to see what the effects are. I'm not familiar with the brush, so there we go. We can go in now and adjust the brush to get the effects we want. So now that I've got some snowflakes on this layer here, I also did a gradient on this layer. The fill bucket will fill it up. Now I have a second layer of this text that is just pink, and I'm going to start messing around here with some of these blends, and that's looking better. It's looking more dynamic. I think I'm missing some of the white highlights, so we might take a look how it looks with the rest of the objects. Added some more, so now we just multiply layers, we just duplicate, the layers, and then add certain blend modes to them. In this case, I'm also going to blur out one of the layers. And it can take a little while to craft the effect you're looking for. And that's what it looks like just on the pink. And just messing around now and just have a play what the different duplicated layers will do until you get what you want. And adjusting now opacities. So I'm going to remove that text. I'm going to keep the happy holidays and just find somewhere on the page that looks good. We're going to go back into the file, import image, and I have this asset of my fine-tuning now, just messing around with the scales and positions of these last assets. Once we find what we like, we're done. That is how I would make a seasonal card. Tutorials. Check them out. Thanks again.